get out of all this politics and this heavy stuff that's dominated our news cycle recently, and let's talk some sports, right? Sports, the American cultural tradition that brings us all together in unity, right? Well, except if it's New York after a massive win, and then they decide to tear the city apart. Yeah, you know. Now, to be fair, this is nothing new. Even after, in so-called celebration after a big win with your city sports team. It's been happening for years. It used to be just when they lose, but now this is a new thing. So, it's nothing new. So we got to be fair about this. But I got to tell you, my younger daughter, who actually lives in New York, she's home now. I said to her the other night, I'm not exactly a New York sports fan. I'm a Boston guy, but still, I'd actually like to see the Knicks win for history's sake. And I think it'll keep that city from tearing itself apart. And she goes, Dad, they're going to tear it apart whether they win or lose. Listen, you know what? You know what? You're right. But we'll get to it. We'll get to all that stuff right now. Business first. Thanks for finding me with Wicked Radio live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time on X and YouTube and Facebook, the replay there. Find the audio podcast as most people have done and like, share, follow, all that stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, let's get to it first. I love, no matter who the team is, honestly, I love an historic sports win. I love it because I love sports history. And I got to give it credit. I'm no Knicks fan, but last night, and this is what kicked everything off, last night, I think it was a 29-point deficit overcome. Not a buzzer beater at the end, but it was like 1 point something seconds left. And the Knicks win. This is game 4. This is now putting them up 3-1. It's Madison Square Garden, very relevant to the story. And this is the moment that kicked it all off. Just for, if you didn't hear things, if you're not sports-oriented, just for a quick reference.
Go flat for Jalen Brunson. Allow him to operate at the top. 101.
Brunson gets it. Fires up a 3. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone with 1.2 remaining.
Even if you're not a big sports fan, that's a big, big moment. That will be replayed in that team and probably NBA history forever. That's a big thing, putting them up 3-1. And I got to tell you, just following sports as I have my entire life, that's probably a team of destiny. I mean, you're up 3-1. The advantage is in your favor. A comeback in game 4, that's huge. So what would happen? The entire city comes together. They're hugging outside, right? They're celebrating up and down. People are toasting each other. No, not in New York. They start to tear it apart. Okay, those were flash bombs. A lot of this stuff I'm going to have to describe for the audio-only listeners just to see some of this stuff because it was just insane. I mean, where they are, complete lack of security, what's happening there. They're in a fevered state. And you got to keep in mind, let's all keep this in perspective. These aren't exactly the people with the $5,000 a ticket courtside seats inside Madison Square Garden, okay? But, I mean, let's just be honest here. And I know the argument it is, and somebody somewhere is going to say, this could happen in any city. They do the same thing. It always happens. Not to this extent. And there's a background to the story here. Let's see what else happened. Here's another clip that came in really just hours ago in real time. Yeah, they're beating the tar out of a guy there. I don't know whether he was a Spurs fan. Probably nobody was dumb enough to wear a Spurs jersey outside of Madison Square Garden in that. Can you imagine if they lost and that guy? I don't know what would have happened. More of the same. Those are the police horses. Now, this is relevant to it, too. The watch party for this particular game was canceled. The mayor made that call along with the police commissioner. I think her name is Tish, by the way. So the Knicks organization, James Dolan, who you'll hear in a second, was all upset about that. Didn't understand why. Thought it was just about a celebration. I think you've got a sports owner here who, to his credit, the day of, so this would be yesterday, but even before his big Game 4 win for his team, right, goes on WFAN in New York, and he blasts Mamdani, the mayor there, and he blasts the commissioner. I think you've got a sports owner who's completely unaware of the difference in his fan base. Like I said, the people outside who aren't exactly buying $1,000 tickets for a playoff game, or $5,000 or whatever it is now. Probably going to be higher than that for the next game. And he blasts the mayor because he can't understand why you would not want to have the celebration, right? So this is after the watch parties were canceled outside of Madison Square Garden. Here's Knicks owner James Dolan earlier on in the day. Tell me this guy's clueless.
This is about celebrating the Knicks at Madison Square Garden at the Mecca of basketball. This is what the mayor's office and the commissioner's office is trying to kill. They don't want the celebration. I can't tell you why they don't want the celebration.
I think maybe, and last night was more intense, obviously, with the violence and the rioting and all this. And we have more clips for you here in a second. But that was before Game 4. He truly doesn't understand what's been happening here. And this is even before President Trump's appearance at the game. That was Game 3, the one that the Knicks lost. Truly doesn't understand. He doesn't understand why, and I'm no Mayor Mamdani fan, I think, as you know, but he doesn't understand why they would have canceled a watch party ahead of all this stuff. You don't know why? Here's why. Here's the clip that's getting all of the viral attention from last night. Now, I'll describe it again for you audio folks only. You've got a riotous mob jumping on a cab, so they took some poor cab driver's cab over here. They jumped on it, and they're chanting Free Palestine while waving a Palestinian flag. Yeah, that's pretty understandable why you might want to cancel the watch. If you've been in New York, you know what cab drivers are like. That's their office. They're in those things like 9-10 hours a day. So if they took, I don't know where the cab driver is. That guy was probably running for his life, that poor guy. So they're denting his car. They're jumping up and down. God knows what they did to it after that clip. I have absolutely no idea. But you've got the owner of the Knicks, James Dolan, saying, I don't know why they're trying to cancel the celebration. Oh, well, gee, that might be a reason why. God. But it goes on. All right, now. This is something else that happened last night. Let's go to this.
Oh, Jerry. What up, Seinfeld? What up? Can we get a free Palestine? Can we get a free Palestine? Come on, give us one free Palestine.
It doesn't exist.
Just to counter the Free Palestine chants and the guys taking over the cab and jumping up and down on it and destroying it, thought I would play that clip for you of Jerry Seinfeld coming out of Madison Square Garden. Some live streamer got a hold of him, and Jerry Seinfeld has been very vocal about his support for Israel. Some streamer tries to get a free Palestine out of him, and Jerry Seinfeld with the perfect answer. It doesn't exist. So there's your counter to that. All right, so now we know that New York City will erupt in mass destruction. And this isn't isolated little sections here. It's not all of it. It's not the 5 boroughs of New York, obviously, right? And it's not exactly all of Knicks fans. It's not representative of that. It's just not. And yes, I'll give you that. It's a little bit more in New York because of the population and the amount of people are there and the density of that city. But yeah, it'll give you this. The kind of stuff does happen, even in celebrations in cities, sports cities across the country. I'll give you that for sure. But man, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do if they win, if they lose. I don't think they're going to lose, but this is a massive, massive thing now. And I really hope this would be a bad time to be in New York City for this whole thing. Can you imagine last night, right? Let's just say you had a train coming into Penn Station, which is right across from Madison Square Garden. and then, you've actually come across something like that. Not exactly the vacation you were planning for, but let's hope anyway. Good time not to be in that city. Let's put it that way. Anyway. All right, there was also a side story to this whole thing that we didn't even talk about yesterday. This was President Trump's appearance before Game 3. There's all kinds of misinformation you're being told this throughout sports media, social media, the mainstreams. Obviously, they're saying that he was roundly booed and soundly booed at his appearance at Madison Square Garden before Game 3 on Monday night. I'm not hearing it. I don't know. This is when they flashed it on the big screen and they put him on TV. Conservatively, I would call it at 50-50 cheers. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights. I heard cheers. I don't know. But there's something in that clip that you may not have caught that people are kind of latching onto now. When he did it and he heard the response, he was there with his granddaughter Kai. They were both there in the box. I'm sure there were other Trump family representatives or people from the administration there, but when the cameras are on both of them, they both had a nice salute and a smirk to go along with it, which I thought was fascinating. But it's incredible because it's New York and because it's that market, how so many celebrities, Jerry Seinfeld was there. Every other celebrity you can imagine that is from or lives in New York has been at Madison Square Garden. The president was there. It's just bigger. It is. I'm not a New Yorker either. I get it. But when something happens in that city, it's the focus of everything. Like I said in the intro, it kind of goes beyond sports. It's a cultural event, which is why the violence outside was pretty fascinating. But it's been incredible to see all of these politicians, New York-based, come out and say that President Trump has nothing to do with the Knicks. Doesn't know the team, doesn't know the history, none of it. And he's just a carpetbagger and he's trying to jump onto the moment. A couple of them have gone so far as to say, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, went so far as to say that President Trump has never gone to a basketball game before. He never has. Well, number one, he has now, and he's the first sitting president to go to an NBA Finals game. He's obviously been to NFL games, been to college games, he's been to the Army-Navy game, plenty of baseball games and all-star games. The guy loves sports. He just does. I've said it plenty of times before. I think his presidential library, when they build it in Miami, when he's out of office, is going to look like a sports museum. He loves that kind of stuff. But there's also this. Completely, that whole propaganda piece about this guy not having anything to do with New York and never going to a game before, and I've never seen him in Madison Square Garden. Boy, is that a bunch of crap. Because as soon as they said that, there were all kinds of clips of President Trump back to the 90s and 80s and even 70s showing up at Knicks games. And then, before Game 3, when he was in the arena, the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, went so far as to say this, completely undoing that narrative that President Trump has nothing to do with the Knicks as a New
And I'll also say about President Trump, I've been with the league for a long time. I ran NBA Entertainment years ago. He did an I Love Kids game spot with us. He was a fixture at NBA at Madison Square Garden. You guys remember, all of you, when you played here, not Draymond, but back in the old days, he had courtside seats. He was here all the time. He was at drafts, so he's a genuine Knicks fan.
There goes that. You know what happened immediately after the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, said that? All the politicians stopped saying that Trump wasn't a Knicks fan and has never been to Madison Square Garden for a game. Just ridiculous. It's because it's Trump. It's because it's New York City. It's because of all the media attention. And to add this into the mix, and this is part of it, now you've got part of this entire series and this entire event, an historic comeback win from last night, which, even if you're not a Knicks fan, that's a big deal. It actually is. So who knows? I mean, honestly, I'm joking around about this, but it's no laughing matter. You really hope that no matter what happens at the end of this thing, I mean, within a week, within a few days, this series is going to end one way or another, and this is where it transcends beyond sports. You hope that they're smart enough in that city. Doesn't sound like they are so far, but you hope they are, and God love the New York City, the NYPD, to try to, contain control in this city, but you hope people come to their senses and they actually, don't go nuts either way. Celebrate your win. Don't tear your city apart. It just, just for an example here, this is nothing new and it's been a trend. Riots for a team losing a long series in dramatic fashion, or if the fans are mad, that's been going on for decades. Riots, tearing your city apart, and vandalism and violence and all this other stuff happening when your team even wins. Okay, that's a little newer. But still, it's not isolated to New York City alone. So they are getting a bit of a bad rap in this. But boy, what a mess. you just hope they can keep the peace on that one way or another. But why does it matter, though? Proof positive that sports are a massive part of our culture. Always have been, always will be. Massive moneymaker, and they're part of our daily lives. Even if you're not in that city. Bad time to be in New York. But anyway, who knows? Good time not to be there. Let's hope they keep the peace either way. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you. Let's get out of this one. Get into your Thursday. Make it a wicked awesome one. Thanks for finding the live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and then the replay on X and YouTube and Facebook. And then audio podcast listeners, wherever you like to get them, whatever your favorite platform is, easy to find. It's Wicked Radio with me, Bill Adams. Thanks for finding it. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.